everyone, this is Dominant Mara and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a professional Dom and I make awesome Dom DIYs such as the ones today, travel vlogs, and other educational material that you can find on my channel. Go ahead and join one of my 2 membership tiers here on YouTube. You can find that on my channel page. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you know when I have new content out. I post every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time and I live stream as well. Be sure that you are subscribed in order to find out when. Follow my Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Mara Domina for daily news and updates. Alright, as you guys may or may not have seen, I have awesome gloves on today, and yes, I actually made them. Not the physical gloves themselves, but the design on it, the fringe, and the nails. And let's roll tape to see how I did it. Let's start at the beginning. Majesty Black is a collectible handmade armor brand by designer Joshua David Reno, and they have done gloves for Harley Quinn, Miley Cyrus, Dita Von Teese, Lil Nas X, Philippe Blonde, and even Madonna. But my most favorite pair of gloves was the collaboration with One More Fix. I fell super in love with the gold on black, and I wanted to make my own representing symbols of my natal chart, which has to do with astrology. Majesty Black is known for their razor-sharp nails that emerge from the tips of the gloves. I decided to do gold claws to match the paint that I was going to put onto the detail. I also bought the base for the leather gloves online, and I'll link some similar finds in the description box below. While I waited for those items to arrive, I decided to sketch out my idea for the gloves because I wasn't just gonna wing this one. The first thing I drew were actually the fringe because I wanted kind of a more dramatic look to my version of the gloves. I mentioned natal chart earlier, and that is literally the orientation of the stars and planets when you were born. So you would have to know the specific location and time down to the minute because even 5 minutes can change your chart. I am a solar and lunar Leo, and I am a Capricorn Aquarius cusp in my rising. All the other planets and nodes that are depicted here correspond to the rest of the information on my chart. After I figured out exactly how I wanted everything to look, the next stop was the fabric store. I went to look for trim that would match the gloves that I bought. The gloves are a long opera length glove, and so I was looking for a fringe that would hang at least a few inches from the seam. I was able to find what I was looking for, and in addition to that, I found this awesome quilted trim with this gold beading, and it just looked so good together with the fringe that I decided to take some of this as well. And I was going to originally put it on the bias of the fringe, but you'll see later what I end up doing with it instead. I finally had all the materials I needed and found some stuff at home that could be useful, such as Sharpie, gel enamel, and also crystal resin. I tried on each nail and made sure that each corresponded to the finger appropriately before filing down. I even wrote numbers on the backs of the nail towards the bottom so that I wouldn't forget in case I mixed everything up. The gold nails that I ordered were coffin shaped, and so I took a file and shaved down the sides so that it would create a cat claw point. After the filing process was done, I took the red gel enamel and turned the nails so that they were face down, and I painted the underside with 2 coats. I made sure not to paint over the numbers that I left at the bottom so that I wouldn't forget what sequence they were in. This will be covered up by the glove anyway, so it didn't matter that I didn't go all the way down with the red. When all of those had dried, the next part was the tricky part. I wanted to encase each of the nails in crystal resin so that they would maintain their gold sheen as well as the red undersides. I feel like you could use clear top coat for this as well, but I wanted something a little bit more sturdy and long lasting. So I took these blue wall tack strips and broke them apart and warmed them up in my hand to create these tiny balls in which I would place each of the nails on and create a lollipop with a stick so that I could paint resin on both the top and the underside and let them dry at the same time. Resin can be tough to work with because depending on how you layer the coat, gravity can cause it to drip. So I had to create this makeshift stand for these sticks to stand on. Otherwise, I don't know if the resin would have attached to any furniture that I laid it on. After it cured for 24 to 48 hours, I took my E6000 glue and carefully applied each nail to the matching finger of the gloves. I really didn't want to get any of the residue on the glove where it wasn't supposed to be, but you had to put enough glue in order to fill the arch of the nail so that there's no space between it and the leather. I successfully handled all of that stickiness and let that cure for another 24 hours. The first thing to paint were the fingers. I had taken which zodiacs corresponded to the specific houses of my natal chart and designed them on each of the knuckles of both hands. I feel like you could have used a marker, but I decided to go with paint just to try it out. However, I feel like there's more chance of acrylic peeling off eventually because it is a sort of plastic latex type of medium, but we'll have to see as time progresses. I drew all of my designs with a fine Sharpie first, and if I made a mistake, I could take some acetone and wipe it off. The ink was so faint that you can barely see it, but it was great for a guide under good lighting to paint over. Fingers were the easiest part because they were linear symbols, but when I got to the wrists, I did the constellations for each of my zodiacs, and this was surprisingly challenging. I had to create a line thick enough and straight enough for somebody to be able to recognize and see what it is, and the stars were fun to draw, but I feel like fitting it on this small area for the wrist was, well, let's just say it took finesse. I started with the Capricorn side because I used the left hand as a means to try out painting a face because it had a lot of detail, and if I messed up, it wouldn't have been as devastating as the lion for my right hand Leo side. I grew to like Capricorn's aesthetic because the goat kind of reminds me of Baphomet, and the tail reminds me of a mermaid, so it kind of has a unique mythology about it and parts that I really enjoy. The rest of the gloves needed some detail as well to balance out the hands, and so I took some alchemic symbols that resonated with me and that I wanted to manifest and mirrored similar ones on each glove. To fill in some of the spaces in between, I also added some magical twinkling stars and elemental sigils to tie in the designs. I wanted to seal the paint in, and so I took some neutral resin, which is a protective acrylic finish for leather. I tested it on a small graphic before I applied 2 coats over the entire glove. It dried clear with a semi-glossy finish. I could have stopped here and had the gloves look like One More Fixes, where it was just gold paint over black leather. I did have the nails attached already, and it looked really good from here, but again, I wanted more drama, and so I decided to continue on with the fringe. The fringe had a good 1/2 inch of space to work with, but after laying it over the gloves and seeing that it would fit perfectly on the back seam, I decided to glue the bias in half, creating more of a structure so that I could glue that onto the glove itself. The glue does take some time to cure, and so I had to use paper clips in order for it to pinch together while it dried. I did this all along the trim for both gloves. Lastly, I had the quilted trim with the gold beading on either side, and originally I was going to put this along the fringe, but I really liked the clean look that the fringe had going onto the glove, and so I decided to add this to the very top of the gloves where it fits around the bicep. I glued that all along both sides, leaving the original trim where it was so that the fringe could still dangle. Since I had a little fringe left and enough of this quilted trim, I can make a matching choker, which will tie really well with my outfit. Alright guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it so that others can make their own natal chart / constellation / zodiac or whatever they want, goddess gloves. And of course, thank you to Majesty Black and for One More Fix for inspiring me to do this video. Not sponsored, but I figured I should give credit where it's due. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when I have new content out. Join my memberships here on YouTube and follow me at Mara Domina on all of my social media. Until next time, be safe, have fun, and keep it kinky, everyone.